Welcome to Story Ideas on the Fly, where we pick a random prompt out of a hat and try to develop it into an idea that could be made into a story. So what do we have today? I don't know. Can we mess him up a little bit? Get something nice. Oh, you
Guy is secretly a god. He is who it's secret from.
Oh. Okay, a guy
He's
is
a secret from himself.
How would
Either that or everyone's keeping the secret from him.
Well, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is something Hercules type style, where he is a god, or
Well, Hercules is actually a demigod, but
true.
Disney's Hercules.
Oh yeah,
style.
Disney's Hercules. He was a god.
Yes.
Or
In the original, yes, he was a demigod. You could. Why would he? Why would people be actively trying to keep it a secret from him?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking the best way to keep it a secret is the kind of Percy Jackson type of style where you go, okay, you know, but
having him live.
Percy Jackson is a demigod.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking demigods, but that's easy to keep secret. So why would someone want to keep it a secret that he's a god? And how would you, if someone's that powerful? How do you keep it a secret?
Okay, idea.
Mm-hmm.
So centuries ago, there was a dark god of discord, chaos, destruction, whatever you want, and he was causing problems. And so either the gods or some people got together and somehow made a deal with him to try to convince him to stop. And his power, he's so powerful that he can go on rampages kind of at will. And so they basically convince him to store away his powers for a time and just forget about being a god. And so he has then set everything up to keep it a secret from himself so that he doesn't immediately go back to being a powerful force of destruction or something.
He's a troublemaker god.
Yeah, I can imagine Loki saying, I'm going to forget about this.
He could have...
How can I keep it a secret from myself?
Well, he could be trying to keep it a secret from himself, but the other gods could have said, look, you're too destructive. We are going to take your power away, put you down in a place where you don't remember being a god.
Yeah.
Now, does that count as him being a god, though, because he's had his power taken away at that point?
Well, he could just say that it's... Well, one idea I had, which was actually part of one of the weekly channels, in that world, I said that the thing that separated mortals from gods is the power of their soul. A god's soul is just thousands of times more powerful than a mortal soul. And so if you do something like that, then you can't really take away that power. You can just make him forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's kind of what I'm thinking. The other option, and this is the exact opposite direction, but if you want the story to be a little darker, or it might be a little light, I don't know, you could have it be that he wasn't a dark god or something, didn't cause destruction, but was actually like the leader of the gods, and was usurped by a dark god.
You could do that.
And so now the gods are trying to keep it a secret. So now the current powers of the universe are trying to keep it a secret from him that he has this great godlike power because he's the only one who can truly stop him.
I like it. Actually, I think that's a great idea because now you've got your inherent conflict.
Yeah.
Because if you
he was the protagonist.
If you're throwing the bad guy, down to earth, saying you're no longer a god, you want them to stay that way. You don't want them to learn that they're a god. He's a god and overcome. This you do. So I love it. Okay, so he was
the king of the gods.
Hopefully not the Zeus kind.
No, let's go with a good god, like a really, really
some more
nice...
of the Odin kind.
Odin was all right. Like
a lot of Odin's personality was learning is fun.
Yeah, I was going to have it be a little more like let's help all these little humans type thing as a personality.
So he's a good god, yes, not Zeus.
Yes.
So
he's going to be a good god, but he was usurped. They couldn't kill him because he was a god. Why didn't they throw him in, some kind of prison like Tartarus, or do some elaborate god thing where they have
because he's too powerful to get out, so he has to take his powers away. And once you take his powers,
take his powers away. It's the thing. He is still a god. He's not like losing his powers. So
He hasn't lost his powers.
so what they do is the only attack that ends up working against him is they manage to manipulate his mind to just make him forget about.
Oh, the
his
god of
godlike-
dreams is the one who finally manages to take him down. Because he is a god, so he's the most powerful of the gods, so they try other things, like chain him, he breaks the chains. Throw him into Tartarus, he breaks out. And then, finally, the god of dreams manages to subdue him by trapping him into an eternal dream that convinces him he is immortal. But if they bring him in too much contact with other godly forces, that can wake him back up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or you could have a god of memories who's able to, or some kind of
Well,
psionic
a lot of
ability.
the idea of
basically
going
gets
with the
him
god
to-
of dreams is that gives him a reason for not, after they've made it so he's effectively no longer a god, they don't just now chain him up
Chain
and
him up.
just leave him
Okay.
for
No, here's
dead.
the thing. I think the key is you have to they would have after they initially did it, they tried chaining him up, but if he is put into too much conflict, his godly powers activate. And so
So
they
they're trying
literally
to
said
put him in a really easy, happy life.
yeah, it's like there is no so it's like, hey, we throw him in Tartarus and he goes, oh wait, I have ways to deal with this.
And he
gets
starts
his
realizing,
memories
hey,
back.
I can run at Mach 28. Hey, I
But
can punch this thing to death.
But if he's sitting there on a farm with a nice, happy life, why would he need to have the power to fight monsters?
Yeah, you see, yeah,
Right.
because if you caged him, he'd be, why am I in this cage? And that breaks the dream.
Okay.
But if you stick him on a farm, so he gets put
When
down
I
here.
think dream, I think you're putting him in a dream sequence and trapping him, and that's not as interesting of a story if he's caught in a dream. I want him in reality.
I
but
think he's
really-
powerful enough that you can't really trap him in a dream, but he
Okay.
can influence.
But
you
the
can
dream,
make him think that
dream-
I
he's
was
in a
kind of
certain
meaning more
situation.
like daydreaming kind of thing.
Okay.
the dream more.
This makes more sense
rewrites,
now.
You know, his
I
life.
get it.
Okay.
All right.
So
Because in a dream,
I like
you
it.
can completely rewrite who you are, what's going on around you, just everything.
right. So he has a dream for his past instead of.
All right.
his
So
real
now he
past.
thinks he's living in this nice, countryside castle or farm or, nice one. And he's got, not too many troubles in life, just goes about and, I don't know.
Yeah, because the last thing they want him to
Ooh.
do is have troubles, because then he could instinctively
Yeah.
kick in and do things. So he is on a nice farm. All is
Now,
good.
does he have a girl?
Probably.
not.
He probably has
He probably
friends.
has an automaton that is acting as a wife.
No, he's
Or,
probably.
No, I think that he probably would be someone, seeing that he was a very nice god, he'd probably be someone that just naturally would be
Draws
drawn
people
to
to
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
about his godlike state. So I don't know if he'd have a girlfriend, but he would definitely have girls interested
Girls
in him.
being drawn towards him.
I don't think he would be.
Yeah, you could have someone pose as a wife, fiance, or something, but that would be someone who was in on the secret and trying to keep it from him. So, does he have other people around him? Is everyone around? Well, not everyone, but are a lot of the people around him actually there just to keep the secret?
Probably.
I would think no. I would think no, because if you put
I
people
think a lot of it
in-
is they're trying to avoid him having any contact with any divine power.
right.
Okay.
So
Because one, he
if
might be able to sense the divine power, which
Okay.
could activate his.
You could have humans though that know, hey,
You
don't,
might have
don't ever let
humans-
this guy find
and yeah,
out.
you might have a few people like a girl who's gone in there trying to seduce him to become his wife to keep his thing up type thing. But I think he would be smart enough to not just this
No,
girl's
I
hot.
don't think he would fall for her.
Oh,
very
definitely
quickly.
You could have a corrupt lord over this land or king of this land or something, and he actually does know what's going on. But he is being told, hey, if you keep this guy over here and all nice and safe
Keep
and
him
happy,
quiet, keep
and
everything going
we
smoothly.
give you lots of blessings and money and all the things
Yeah.
you want.
You get the favor of the gods.
That's right, and we have lots of resources.
nice.
Okay.
Thing I'm thinking,
All right.
thing though, based off of a lot of this is since all these other gods were trying to usurp him, I'm guessing they're probably not the kind of gods that are going to be trying to make a fairly peaceful world.
Oh,
They're probably going to
No.
make a world that is full of death and chaos.
Well, but just
So-
because it has a lot of death and chaos doesn't mean that you do it in
Yeah,
your
exactly.
mainland.
I think they'd be trying to avoid having it in that specific piece of land.
Right.
But if it's all outside
this
of it,
land,
No,
there
what if
might
someone
be
comes
other
what's
things going
happening?
on.
The kingdom is often the aggressor. They're going conquering other kingdoms.
Yeah,
And so they have the blessings of
especially
the gods.
if their king or if the person in charge has the favor of the gods, he's going full on conquering everything and conscripting everyone who's able to
Right.
fight,
Okay,
except for this god because he knows don't touch him.
what is this guy the god of? Like, what's his domain?
I don't know,
I'm
king of the
thinking
gods, but he could be
Either creation, freedom. I also what was that?
Ooh, freedom's a good one. Because that could
Hmm.
explain why they can't contain him.
that would actually be pretty interesting.
Okay, and then and I'm thinking for some of the evil gods who are currently in power now. I think the head one is the god of either war or subjugation.
Okay.
So conquest. Yeah.
Conquest is
Got a
good.
conquest. Nice.
So yeah, god of conquest. We'll have him be the big bad, the leader of the villains. The god of dreams. I
Mhm.
think you'd have him be dreams, nightmares, and delusions.
Okay.
Okay.
And then and he basically filled the role of the dragon. And then
Okay.
and then a few other evil gods type things.
Okay.
So then here's how we start the story. The goddess of hearth and home
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
comes into this town, searching for the god of freedom.
Nice.
Ah.
You could do that.
Okay. What is her status with the gods now, though? What happened?
She's
as these
probably
evil
one of
people-
the. Well, if you go with the original Olympians, then she was one of the main gods, but then everyone kind of just forgot about her.
Yeah.
But in
think
this,
that-
I
I
feel
think
like
that
you
in
probably have
families-
something kind of similar, where she was one of the head gods, but after the
After the
god of freedom
takeover.
was taken out, she was suddenly demoted to one of the very lowest ranks.
Yeah, I do think actually I think that the goddess of the hearth was still worshipped and but she's not in a lot of stories, so we don't
she
remember
wasn't.
her much.
Yeah,
but
like I said, she wasn't.
but
a
the hearth
head
of the
god.
home is considered very important. So,
Oh.
but I think for when you get a pantheon that's now based on war and conquest, that they kind of decide, oh, hearth's just not that important.
Yeah.
I think that she wasn't a very strong fighter, and so she couldn't really fight the battle. She couldn't really stop anyone, so they didn't really need to lock her up. So they just kind of went, okay, well, we can't lock her. Well, she's not
They kinda
that
just started
dangerous. Don't
ignoring
lock her
her.
up. Just go keep our fire.
Now,
burning
here's
and
an
I
interesting.
wouldn't start this. Sorry, to
bring
interrupt.
us dinner.
I
right.
wouldn't start this with the goddess of hearth coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it starts too far into the story.
Mhm.
We want it because if she just comes in, she's like, "Hey, guess what? You're actually a god."
Well,
No,
I
I'm
was
not.
thinking she
Yeah.
arrives in
Excuse me.
town, but because his godlike powers are forgotten, he doesn't register as like I'm a god on her senses immediately, and so she's going in there, and she can't just reveal, and she's in hiding because
Oh, and
the
hiding
gods
from
are
them.
after her.
Okay.
And there are
she's
probably
hiding
quite
there.
a
He
few
doesn't know
people
what he-
here who are
if-
working for the gods who would love to take her out, because that'll give them a promotion in their eyes.
Exactly.
If she goes,
Okay.
I am a goddess, then guess what the other gods are gonna do?
Yeah.
Divine smite!
And so she's
Or something like
she's
that.
in this
Okay.
town looking for him,
Uh-huh.
and then I think but she can't tell anyone what she's trying to do. He finds her, and he sees that she's trying to do something, and agrees to help her, and they start working together.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't realize that he's the one she's looking for.
Have it take them some time.
I still wouldn't start with her coming in town. If you want to make her the main character, you start that way.
Okay.
If you want to make him the main character, you start with him
Something feeling
on
off.
him on the farm where something happens that because things go wrong on farms.
Yeah.
People get
Yeah.
killed by bulls and stuff like this, and
hurt.
something happens where he does some miraculous save that shouldn't be able to be done. And him going, "How did I do that? Man, I didn't know I had that in me."
Yeah.
And then kind of ignoring.
And then
kind of
everyone
thinking
around
it's
him,
no big
or not
deal.
everyone, but some people around him going, "Oh no, it's no big deal. It was you just think you saw that."
And
Yes.
what you have is some kind of like barbed wire fence type thing at the edge of something, and a child gets caught tangled in it, like really tangled in it, and then as the bull's charging for the child, he just runs over and he pulls the child out, and he just somehow slips free from everything without any resistance, and then he saves them and then deals with the situation. It's like, wow, how did it just like untangle itself? It's like he wasn't really tangled that much. He just needed a pull.
You just thought it was. It looked
looked
bad
much
at
worse
the
than it
time
was.
because we were all scared.
Yeah.
And you would have somebody on the
You have someone gaslighting him every
and you
step
have
of the way.
somebody there gaslighting him because
Gotta be the mayor's daughter.
gaslighting him that is going to be a little bit on the because that's kind of your hook, telling this letting the reader know
Something's
this
wrong.
person is
Yeah.
gaslighting him.
Yeah.
This person is gaslighting.
Have it be the mayor's daughter.
The mayor.
Or someone like that, yeah.
Well, yeah, who would be in charge of this town? Obviously, the gods would have put someone in charge that they trust. So the mayor is probably working for them, and so have his daughter be this beautiful girl who's trying to.
Are we going modern day with this?
No.
I was thinking
This
fantasy.
is fantasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
There
mayor's
were
not
mayors.
a term
I
usually think of.
Okay,
but I think
Oh, you can have
but
a
yeah.
Lord Mayor.
Lord
We
Mayor.
did
Yeah.
it in fair.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what else? Well, the
Yeah.
town
Yeah.
person in charge of the town.
You
yeah.
generally call him the Lord.
The
Well,
Lord's
you could
usually
go-
a little bigger than a small
Okay.
town.
You could also go more ancient style, because the gods.
Okay, chief.
We're arguing.
Fine.
s-
Actually,
in-
the
Okay.
name
We're
Lord, if you
arguing
look it up,
terms
isn't
here.
as high up as you would think, like barons and.
Yeah,
castles
but
and
usually
higher.
when you think Lord, you're thinking the guy in charge of a lot more than one small
Okay.
town.
Yeah.
Mayor is usually the term for Lord of
Okay,
a town.
we're arguing about terminology now.
Right,
What
what
about
do you
the
mean?
story?
Everyone wants to know. We don't
It's a
do that
fantasy
with
world. We don't
directions.
have to obey literally any law at all.
That's
You
right.
kind of go a little more ancient medieval than like really advanced.
Yeah,
technology.
yes.
Probably keep it more primitive because that was kind of the time frame for more gods and conquests, and I mean, obviously we still did that afterwards, but
Okay,
My
so
question is, how long is it going to take before this guy starts realizing stuff is actually going really wrong outside of this town? And how long has he actually been here?
well, I think at some point you either have to have him
Days?
leave
A few
the town.
months?
I think he's been here a long time.
I think he doesn't remember how long it's been. So
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't remember.
He
But
thinks he's
maybe
been
the
here his
town
whole
doesn't
life.
remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
he thinks he's been here his whole life. But to everyone else, how long does it seem like
Probably
he's been
10
here?
years working on the farm.
I don't know, maybe
5 years, 10 years. I'd say give it 10 years. That gives him
years.
lots of time to make a mess outside of his.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it
Because 5
definitely
years,
works.
because you can make a mess.
Gods
pretty
can
quickly
make
if
a
you're-
mess pretty quickly.
Yeah.
a
but-
year or two.
Zeus would make a
Maybe.
mess in like 3 days.
Okay, granted.
Okay,
Fair enough.
so
Anyway.
Loki would make a mess in about 10 minutes.
Yes. So
Yes.
we get the girl. He can either move out into the world and and see what's going on, and then meet the girl,
Yeah.
or the girl can find him and
Yeah.
pull
So
him
if he
out.
goes out into
to
the
the
world, something has to change for
Right.
him to leave the town. Now the options are A, you either have the goddess of hearth and family and home comes in and meets him. That would be something to change things up, or some other way that the facade of the town needs to break, like a refugee from the war somehow gets into this
Comes
town,
in.
because they'd be monitoring who comes in and out of this town a lot. It would
Right.
be hard.
Yeah.
And
Because
like
the
that.
gods
You
have
can
told
only-
the mayor, this one guy in this town is very important. You need to make sure that he keeps up
He
this
never
illusion.
knows anything.
Yeah,
bad
he never
is
knows
happening.
anything
And so-
that is happening
Yeah,
outside
but
the
it's
school.
hard to keep a lie up forever.
But
so
yeah,
I
it is
think
hard to
over
keep a lie
time,
up forever. So I think
things
eventually,
are gonna.
think
The
you wanna go
veneer's
with a
going to
refugee.
slip, and he's going
Oh,
to start putting things
that-
together.
That could be actually what happens in your first scene, because you really want to have some hook. You want to have kind of daily life, some change has to happen. Instead of just saving someone from a random farm thing, he finds an injured person. Someone who is, I don't know, depending on the terrain, what could have happened, but he finds an injured person that is somehow stuck someplace he should not be able to get him out of. He's crushed on, he's under some rocks or something, and he's able to move the rocks, pull the man out, and this man is from outside fighting the wars. Now we'd have to come up with a realistic, believable way of why he was there. And
well, they would try to keep him out, but
he was captured by the enemy,
happened.
got away, and this was where he got to, but in his escape though, he got injured here, and so now he pulls him out and he's going, you're from out there, and then he starts realizing
what's going on,
right,
and then he goes, hey, there's a big bad stuff going on, someone's got to do we've got to have people try to help, and I'm pretty tough. I can probably help out.
Yeah, and at this point, he learns, hey, this guy's like, what are you? What's going on? Well, I'm a soldier in the war. What war? You haven't heard of the war? What war? He's like, no, it's awful, it's horrible. And he starts telling him his story, and this is the point where he's going,
I've never heard
of a war. I need to get out. Mm-hmm. I need to get out. I need to see what actually is going on, to see if there's some way I can help. Why should I be living this nice little life here when people like you are putting your lives on the line? So I'm going to leave. And of course, they're not going to want him to leave. No. And he's going, so your end of your first chapter either has something with him, deciding he's going to sneaking out at night, whatever, so that you go, I'm leaving, I'm finding out what's really going on.
Okay. Right.
And then and then the day after,
and then you have him eventually.
The town gets struck by lightning.
Probably.
Yep.
And then he's going to go into town, and that's where he's going to meet the girl.
Yeah.
Goddess part.
Yeah.
I like introducing them to each other early. Yeah. But I especially don't like her figuring him out instantly, because I think a lot of the story is him figuring it out. But I like the idea of all the good gods kind of forming this underground resistance where they can't actually stand up to all the gods of power, might, dominion, and subjugation. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
But when she first says, hey, you're the god of no, I'm not,
No, I think, first I don't think she even knows.
Yeah.
When she first meets him, I think she's going, oh, hey, you're a pretty tough guy. You know how to use some magic or something? Mm-hmm. Maybe. I mean, I was able to do this, which that kind of sounds like a spell. Oh, yeah, that spells this spell. So, yeah, probably.
Yeah. And
she's just going, another demigod. Oh, Zeus. Even though it's not Zeus, but, someone like him.
Maybe.
You could also do that, where at first she thinks he is a demigod.
Yeah,
and then over time he starts doing more and more impressive things, and then some of the other gods.
I think he has to eventually be the first one to realize that he is. Right. Is the important thing.
And that would be
I do think they make a very cute couple, Freedom and the Hearth, because I think this is more of a virtuous freedom, and so I kind of think that Freedom and the Hearth will go well together because they're not normally what you think of as going together, but
they go together perfectly.
They're adorable, though.
But perfectly.
Anyway,
she kind of grabbed him and give him that.
We have a setting, we have a conflict, we have a hero, we have a villain, we have a love interest. This can be written, and all believably, or really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway.
So who would write this?
Oh, I could sit here and talk on this for the next couple of hours.
Yeah,
let's develop
it. Write it within a week or two.
This is right up my alley.
Have time.
This is right up my alley.
This one sounds like it would be so much fun.
Yeah.
The problem I'd have is I'd be so tempted to make this guy's power scaling go up way too fast.
Yes, you would. You would.
Yes.
Hey,
it would be fun.
I totally imagine the story would end with this epic battle between literal gods fighting each other.
Oh, yes.
But in the end, I think he's taking on the entire pantheon single-handedly.
Single-handedly, he'd have all the good gods behind him.
He'd have all the good gods behind him, and he'd be like, "Okay, Hearth, step back. I don't want you hurt." Blam.
Yeah, but they would definitely be up against a superior foe because it's like
she is fireproof.
He's like.
Good thing.
She hey, no. Well, it would be like this. Hey, she's the goddess of home, right? which means she's not going to be able to aggressively go and take out the god of war. But if he attacks her, she can defend her home, and the whole world is her home.
There you go.
So she'd actually be pretty powerful when she wants to.
Oh
be.
yes,
And she's
nothing is
protecting
scary
her
as a
Which means
woman
she'd likely
protecting
which
her
means she'd
family.
likely do a lot of just force fields and stuff like that.
How
in
do
the
we
fight.
deal with the villains though? Because the villains are also gods, and
You don't
can't
have to
god.
kill him. You just punch him down a notch and say, okay, reassert him as the top of it, and in charge. Say, okay, the most important thing is that people have the freedom to direct their own lives, and we don't. And yes, wars can still happen because you can't really get killed, gods. But you're demoted to a minor god. You're demoted to a minor god. Everyone gets a demotion.
Except for you, Hearth. You get a promotion.
And they find a way so that to work around so the dream thing can't happen again.
There you go.
But yes,
God of have it so that he starts working with the God of memories.
Oh, there you go.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because you can't kill the gods, but you can come in
You
and
can find ways around them.
change the balance of
Change
power.
the dynamic.
Yeah.
So
Well, and once he's
Actually, they're
overcome
calling the
it,
God of truth.
once he has overcome the god of dreams, it may just be one of those things where it's like, okay, now that you've overcome him, the god of dreams tries to put him back in a trance, and
it
just
doesn't work anymore because he's
like,
already figured that one
I
out.
found the counter.
So,
Anyway, we have gone a little over, so
Oh,
let's
sorry.
wrap this up.
So yeah,
What is your ideas?
Give us ideas of what you would do with this. This is so fun, and we'd love more prompts in our hat.
And tell me, would you have it so that the God of Freedom would end up 1v1ing the entire Pantheon?
No, he'd have backup, obviously.
Yeah, he'd have some backup, but
See you
I think
next
he'd mostly
time.
do it on his own.
Okay, bye.